This clip is brought to you by SaveWithConrad.com.
On July 30th, you're working, probably sweating your ass off in the Dorton Arena. It's going to be Tully, yourself, and Ole taking on Magnum, Ricky, and Robert. So we had seen a few times where Dusty would insert himself into that Rock and Roll Express opportunity, but now Magnum's here. Was that a different match when Magnum was in there as opposed to Dusty?
I would say it was more competitive. We weren't obligated to make the biggest star in the company, which Dusty was, no doubt. We weren't as obligated to make him look like John Wayne with Magnum. You could have a different pace match with Magnum, still shine Magnum up, but it could be more of a back and forth fight, competitive fight with him and the Rock and Roll. That would be the only difference. But we knew our job going in, and it was to make superstars out of those guys. They were the ones selling the tickets, and we had to make the audience glad that they did. That was our job.
There's so many big Great American Bash shows. It's a 13 city tour. The lion's share of those are in the month of July. The last one happens August 2nd in Atlanta. We're going to talk about that one next week here on the show when we talk about August of 96. But I still think the biggest is probably that July 5th show in Charlotte. 23,000 fans there. Ricky Morton versus Ric Flair in a steel cage match for the world title. In your mind, when you think of the 86 Bash, was that the biggest one, or did you prefer another one personally?
No, it was off the hook. There were so many good things about that. I mean, it was where we all lived. It was our home base. The fact that you got to go perform on that size show and go home and sleep in your bed that night. People may look at that as not being a big deal, but when you're on the road 300 plus days and you get a night like that, 23,000, you're going to make a nice payday. You had the excitement and the rush of just being involved in that, and getting to sleep in your own bed. It's a great combination, and you'll never forget that one. That's for sure.
Let's run through the card one more time. That's July 5th, 1986, Memorial Stadium. As you have probably seen the clips, Flair arrived by helicopter, but that's the main event. To get us started, it's Denny Brown going to a draw with Steve Regal, Robert Gibson taking on Black Bart, the Minnesota Wrecking Crew taking on Sam Houston and Nelson Royal, Manny Fernandez in there with Baron Von Raschke in a bunkhouse match, Wahoo and Jimmy Garvin in an Indian strap match, Ron Garvin and Tully Blanchard in a tape fist match, the Road Warriors taking on the Russians of Ivan and Nikita in a Russian chain match, a hair versus hair match with Jimmy Valiant and Shaska Watley, a steel cage match with Dusty, Magnum, and Baby Doll taking on the Midnight Express and Jim Cornette. And then in the main event, another cage match, this time for the World Heavyweight title, Ric Flair versus Ricky Morton. Interestingly enough, we actually did a watch along with this. Tony Schiavone and I did earlier this year with great friend of the show, Mr. David Crockett. So if you'd like to see that show start to finish and have Crockett and Schiavone give you some alternate commentary 35 years after the fact, check it out. Just look for What Happened When. And we did that this past July, but man, what a special time for Jim Crockett Promotions and the individuals who made it up. You're having career highs all across the place, and we'll keep the story going, and we'll finish up the Great American Bash Tour when we land in Atlanta, August 2nd, 1986. We'll do that next week, but this was fun today, Arn. Thanks for taking the time to talk about the good old days with us today.
No, thank you. And I continue to see people and fans at some of these Comic-Con signings and stuff. And, around my, AEW, different places at the arenas and stuff. And I keep hearing the same thing. Man, I'm really enjoying the new format. So thank you for trusting our thoughts about it and going with it. And I think it's by and large, everyone's enjoying, the behind the scenes stuff and the stories and all that stuff a lot more than what we're doing. So you get the credit, my friend. I'm just enjoying the ride.
Well, I don't know about all that. We couldn't do it without you, literally, but we are going to pick up where we left off We're going to talk about August of 1996 next week, 1986, easy for me to say. And then we're going to keep it going. And I think we'll almost finish the year with 1986. We're going to finish with November on Christmas Day. We're going to bring you November 1986, which of course is going to include Starcade 1986 along the way. This has been fun, man. Revisiting the good old days.
Yeah, it was, like I said, it was the time of my life that I feel like I became a businessman, a veteran, a provider. We bought our first home in 86.
Wow.
You know, and don't forget that 300ZX that we got from Mama. It was just one of those things that you hope the business could be. The business was what it should be. You go out, you bust your ass, you do all the right things, you get over and you contribute and you reap the rewards. It was the American dream for most of us. It was a great time in the business. And it was the part of the golden years. I truly believe that 85 to 89 were the golden years of the business.
Hey, it's Conrad Thompson. Thanks for checking out the podcast here on YouTube. Be sure to hit the subscribe button and the notifications bell so you get a notice anytime we upload some new content. And go save yourself some money right now. If you're in a 30-year loan or you have credit card debt, it's not a matter of if I can save you money. It's a matter of how much. Find out right now for free at SaveWithConrad.com.